Hey guys, welcome to another episode. So on today's episode, we're gonna be doing some engine work. I've got the engine on the stand over here, so we're gonna start taking some parts off. I'm gonna put the camera on the tripod and kind of run through the parts that I'm gonna be taking off to get those things powder coated. And you can see the car's still curing behind me, so looking good. Let's get the camera on the tripod and let's start taking some parts off. So the first parts that we're going to take off is going to be the intake manifold. I want to get this thing powder coated. Valve covers are also going to come off. Those are going to get powder coated. Exhaust manifold, I might take that off. I'm not sure, just to kind of clean it up a little bit because it's looking kind of ratty. Probably going to be doing the water necks as well. I'm going to weld up the holes that are on this water neck here because I'm not using this. This is for the twin turbo coolant. We don't use those, so that's gonna go. But I think that's pretty much gonna be about it. This has still gotta get painted because I don't want the red. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So the big thing for today is gonna be getting the valve covers and the intake manifold off. All right guys, so intake manifold is off. Went ahead and put some rags in there. That way nothing's gonna fall in there and I'm not gonna have to worry about it whenever I go to start the engine. I don't have like a bolt or something that fell in there. But so these are the camshafts right here. These are what we're gonna be replacing. We're gonna be swapping these out with Tomei 264 cams. But I just wanna run through a few things about removing valve covers on 2JZs that I feel like not a lot of people know. And I see it happen all the time, is these little washers that are right here, they go on right here and they help secure the valve cover down. They're actually on each bolt. But because these are studs and then back here, they're studs, what I see a lot of people do is they'll just try to yank this valve cover off. And with this washer still on there and with the pressure of you know, yanking back and forth and stuff, you'll actually end up breaking off this little ear right there on the valve cover. So that sits right there on that stud. So if you're yanking back and forth, you know, this is cast aluminum. It's not super strong and it'll just shear it right off. And then you gotta, you know, weld it and try to get the gasket flange and everything right. So I see that happen quite often. And it can be prevented. I mean, if you saw kind of the way from the time lapse, you could tell I was taking a lot of time getting those things off there because they're, you know, 25 years old and they're rubber, so they don't really want to come out. We did find the coil packs. One of them's cracked, so we're either gonna have to get a replacement or just upgrade. I'm leaning more towards upgrade. But we also have a little bit of fluid hanging out with this spark plug there. So we're gonna have to figure out what that is. And then inside the intake, there's some residual oil in there. So I'm thinking I'm not gonna put the cams in right now because the cams are gonna come out and then we're gonna do, while we're in here, while we've got this all taken apart, we might as well do the valve springs and, or not the valve springs, valve seals. So we'll do the valve seals. And then if we're doing cams, might as well do valve springs and retainers and stuff like that too. So I've got to order those and then we can get those things in here. But just a kind of a rundown. So if you guys are doing this at home, you can kind of know what you're looking at. So this side is the exhaust or the intake side. And then this side is the exhaust side. Obviously, you know, the exhaust is over there and takes over here. But one of the key points that I want to bring up is this sensor that's right here. On the VVTi, it's only gonna have one of these sensors. On the non-VVTi, it's got two. So it's got one there and one here. And these are the cam position sensors. So as the cams are spinning, they've got this little thing right here, and they're gonna kind of come by here, and it's gonna send a signal. So when this thing swings by here, you're gonna get a signal, you know, telling your engine where your cam is. And so if you guys decide to go to a standalone ECU system, a lot of them only are gonna use either the front or the back. So you don't have to have both. But you can see there's one there, and then there's one right back here. So like I said, as these rotate, it's gonna pick up on these cam position sensors. The exhaust side doesn't have any, so you don't have to worry about those. It's just gonna read off of that. And then the crank also has a crank position sensor. And then another thing that I see a lot of people do wrong is when they go to remove the cams back on, they go in order. So they'll go, you know, they'll set their cam down and they'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you can shear a cam in the middle doing that because you're putting too much pressure on it. So you need to go back and forth until you reach the middle, because you don't want to break the cams. These ones don't look in too terrible a shape. I don't see any like scoring or anything on them, but a lot of sludge. So we're gonna have to clean up in here. I'm debating taking the whole head off and just having the whole head done, but you know, it's kind of like a waterfall effect. Once you take the head off, then you're like, well, we might as well do the pistons and might as well do the connecting rods, and at that point you're like, we might as well stroke it out. So I'm trying to refrain from doing that. I've done it in the past a couple times. So you can see we got headlights. These are the 98 style headlights, and yes, they need some refinishing. I've got some surface rust building up on one of the rings. They're super, super hazy. So we're gonna take care of these things. 98 turn signals. And then these actually broke on me, so I'm gonna have to get new ones of those. But the cool thing is that the Toyota Celica uses the exact same ones. And apparently the Toyota Celica windshield also fits, just different generations of Celicas. But I put those in, and then coming around the back here, so you guys can kind of see it's, you know, looking like a Supra now. I do have the light that goes there. I got two of them actually. So we're gonna put that thing in there. I got my arrow catches for the hood, so we can start working on the hood, but these are already in position on where they need to be. So that's done. And then, oh, I put the front lip on. So that's the front lip. And remember, this isn't as low as it's gonna be because it's on the wheels for one, and then there's also no engine. So when we put it back down on the ground, it won't be super low. I'm not going for like, you know, Honda Civic low or anything. I'm going for drivable. So, all right, that's where I'm gonna stop this episode. I promised you guys I'd do some engine work, so I did. But yeah, now we're looking at some more money, coils, and then valve seals and springs, retainers, and I think that's about all the head work I want to get into right now. So yeah, next episode, if I can get the valve seals in time, we'll do those. But if not, I think we might start wet sanding on the body. So you can kind of see if I can get it right. I mean, this is a good thing, you know, when you can't really see the orange peel, it's a great thing. But there is some orange peel in that reflection. So we're gonna wet sand all that out. And by wet sanding, what I mean is going through with like a really high grit sandpaper. So we're gonna start at 1,000 and we'll do that same crosshatch pattern until all of the gloss is gone and it's completely smooth. And then we'll buff it. And that's the point where I'm gonna decide if I wanna flow coat this. And what that means is put one more layer of clear on it once it's wet sanded. That's just gonna give it that extra pop. But I mean, if it's already looking this good, I don't know if I'm gonna need to do a flow coat. So, but yeah, with that light, you can kind of see there's some distortion there. But I mean, that's just me being nitpicky. You know, the car's looking really, really good. But yeah, we're gonna end up probably wet sanding it, and that'll be the next episode. We'll just do panel by panel. But yep, so that's where I'm gonna leave you guys. You know, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I finally broke 200 subscribers, so I'm super stoked about it, all that. So with the engine work coming together, hopefully, you know, more people are kind of apt to watch instead of just primer and block sanding and primer and block sanding. But yeah, go ahead and share it, like it, comment, subscribe, do what you got to do, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.